Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last video. Uh, Following behind this Polestar, and I just decided to make some short points about electric cars. I'm out on my Triumph Scrambler 1200, and for those of you who subscribe to my channel, I'm normally making videos about Triumph bikes. But everyone and their aunt is talking about electrification at the moment, and what is the future of private transportation? So I haven't talked about this before on my channel, but for a few years we were the owner of a Tesla Model 3, and we got that car during the pandemic and had it for 4 years as our family car. And it's given us a good insight. Obviously, my own usual vehicle is the Triumph Scrambler, um, and we use the car mainly for transporting kids, but our kids, I should say. The advantages of that Tesla were just so far ahead of the market when we got it, in terms of other electric cars. I was driving behind this Polestar, thinking, even today, why would you buy an electric car brand other than Tesla? I'm not exactly a Tesla fanboy. I think some of the channels that you see on YouTube that basically just spiel Tesla news are frankly ridiculous. It's like the worst of Apple fanboyism from a decade ago, where people would just swallow up anything in gobfuls that would filter out of the factory. But um, I do think you can't really argue with the fact that if you're going to buy an electric car today, I think you'd be stupid to buy anything other than a Tesla. You might think you're being clever at the time, thinking, well, I'm not going to follow the crowd, I'm going to differentiate myself a bit. Um, I'm not going to buy the same car as my neighbor or my brother because I want to be different. So I'm going to buy this Polestar. So, well, the reality is, you're really just tethered to your house or your local, whatever your, home charging point is. Because the second you try and go somewhere off the beaten track or somewhere unfamiliar, like you're really at the mercy of charging infrastructure that's still, um, several years into the so-called electric revolution. It just isn't there. Um, and we've put our money where our mouth is. I mean, we drove a Tesla Model 3 all the way to Italy and back from the UK, and that was a standard range plus. So that's a 250, 240 mile range vehicle um, that needs to charge realistically about every 160 to 180 miles. That's the maximum realistic range you're going to get out of it. And actually, you'd probably be pulling into a charger every 100 to 150 miles. So, really, not the most practical vehicle for long distance touring. That said, even then, we were still having to rely on Tesla superchargers because France, I would say, has very good infrastructure. The UK, less so. Um, I think the most common routes are now quite well serviced in the UK. There's only, let's say, I don't know, 8 major motorway routes that you're going to be taking in the UK. A roads you're not as well serviced at all. But if you're talking major thoroughfare routes in the UK, you're probably going to find superchargers uh, wherever you need them now in the UK. So if you have a Tesla, you're fine. God help you if you're relying on the other network. And I think that's what it really comes down to. Like, electrification is stalled and it doesn't make sense because the infrastructure isn't there. And I think Tesla saw that the governments were not pulling their weight in investing, so they decided they were going to halt their efforts. And I think that's probably fair enough. Like, because remember, governments are not always stable and predictable. They can decide, what, we're going to nationalize this charging infrastructure network because it's a critical asset. So you always have to factor that in if you're an enterprise. And that seems far-fetched, but stranger things have happened. So I think it's fair play. They've invested a lot in the Tesla supercharger network, and it's the best infrastructure that there is for EVs. So You know, you can use it as a non-Tesla owner, but you're paying a premium to do so, and your the economics of EVs don't really stack up after a certain point. Electricity is very expensive now. Petrol is coming down in price. We're back to below 130 a litre, which is high, but it's not crazy. Electricity in the UK is very expensive, so you're charging on a fast charger. You're going to you're going to really pay a premium if it's not on your home network. I have to say, in London here, there's a few places where you see filling stations now. There's a really good example by the Bricklayers Arms roundabout near Old Kent Road, where you have a traditional petrol fill up alongside many EV chargers, and I think that's the future of what we're going to see. But anyway, I wanted to still talk about Tesla because I think they have such an advantage. I think they could really sew up the market if they just made a few tweaks to their business lineup, because they continue to defy expectations and outsell everyone else, even in a slowdown. But why are they killing it? So I should say that our next car after the Tesla wasn't a Tesla. I think that's a fair point worth making, and I'll sum up why in a sec. But I think Tesla still outperformed in the last quarter everybody's expectations, and I think they are producing the best-selling car in the world apparently at the moment. But really, actually, I think they could be killing it even more if they really wanted to. 3 reasons why I think they aren't. I think one, they don't really have a luxury option. They stopped producing the Model X and Y in Model X and S, I should say, in a lot of markets. They don't really offer any add-on packages which give you that sort of luxury feel or option. And I think that is a big draw, because at the price point they operate in, you're competing with some of the higher end offerings from other manufacturers. Secondly, they don't really have an SUV class, and yes, the Model Y and X are built for efficient aerodynamics, but some people just don't like this crossover bordering on minivan type shape. It's just, when people spend that amount of money on a car, they want to feel a certain way, and I don't think the Model Y is giving you that. It's giving you a sort of, minivan-esque type feel. And it's not really, the interiors are very stripped back, and that's fine. I actually like that. I really love the minimalism, but it feels a bit cheap, actually, if you compare it to other manufacturers' offerings. I think they could learn or they could outsource that. Like, it'd be good if there was some sort of third party where you could basically just tack on a Lux package, or if they made it an option. Not everyone who buys electric cars is an eco nut, and I know everyone's selling vegan leather now, but vegan leather is basically plastic. I'm not sure if this is actually good for us as humans on a long-term basis to have that amount of exposure to it. So, yeah, I don't know. Things to think about. The other reason is price. So that's the third reason. I think they could still be cheaper for what they are. And this is probably more true in the UK than the US. The UK models are significantly more expensive than in the US because of the imports, and there's a coming down over time, but I think they could still be more competitive on price, and before long the Chinese manufacturers will start to eat into their margins. So they still got to pull their weight on price, but that's what I thought. So we drive a hybrid now, and actually, because most of our journeys are, less than 20 miles, we can run an electric car for basically the whole time. And when we need to, we have the petrol for longer journeys, and I think that's actually how most people would prefer to operate. Now, we are lucky that we have somewhere to plug it in, but um, actually, um, I think that's how most people prefer to operate. And interestingly, that seems to be what's selling now, and why companies like I think it was BMW and Volvo have decided to keep their hybrid offerings for longer. And BMW's lobbying very hard to keep their petrol offerings on for longer. So, yeah. Anyway, um, there's a lot of EV ranting on YouTube these days. I am actually quite excited for electrification for bikes because, to be honest, as operating a petrol vehicle, it's getting harder to keep up with EVs. Bikes used to be categorically faster than most things on the road, but I don't think that's holds as true anymore for for the number of EVs. But yeah, video for a different topic. So signing off. Thanks for watching. Cheers.